Sometimes I just can't take it. Sometimes I just can't take it, and it isn't alright. I'm not gonna make it. And I think my shoes untied. I'm like a broken record. I'm like a broken record. I'm not playing right. Just let go, babe, kill me. Till you tell me on the heavenly phone. So hold tight. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Don't let go. Tight, tight. It's alright, you said. I got my hands up, shaking just to let you know that you've got a higher power. Got me singing every second, dancing every hour. Oh yeah, you've got a higher power. And she really someone I wanna know. This boy is electric. This boy is electric, and you speak of the universe connected. I'm buzzing. We're just letting people join, and we'll kick off at about 5 minutes past the hour. Good morning. Just to let you know now you got me singing every second, dancing every hour. Oh yeah, you want it in your time, a million miles an hour. Waiting for the sun, I've been down on my knees in your song. Take me just give it another couple of minutes, and as people are still joining. Sometimes I just can't take it. Sometimes I just can't take it, and it isn't alright. I'm not gonna make it. And I think my shoes untied. I'm like a broken record. I'm like a broken record, and I'm not playing right. Just let go away, kill me. Till you tell me on the heavenly phone. So hold tight. Come on, come on. Oh, come on, come on. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for bearing with us while people have been logging in, listening to my favourite band, Coldplay. Brilliant in concert, if, for those of you who've seen them. And for those that you haven't, when we can go back to concerts again, I highly recommend them. So welcome to this webinar. This is one in a series of events that we've been hosting over the last few months and will continue to do so. The aim of which is to showcase what we do here at AI4 Process. There's quite a few people I can see who've joined who I know, but for those who don't know me, my name is Kevin Hadley. I'm the sales lead here at AI4 Process. I joined the business last summer after a spell at Pegasystems, which lasted for 13 years. And there's a bit of a theme with a lot of people who work at AI4 Process. A lot of us have got long tenure, either working at Pegasystems or certainly working with Pega's technology. Just a bit of housekeeping. There is a Q&A feature in Zoom, so please feel free to ask questions. We may answer them in flight, either vocally or via the chat, and we have a Q&A session at the end. And potentially as a last resort, we will follow up after the session. Before I hand over to James, who's going to introduce the demonstrations, I'd like to just spend a few minutes talking about AI4 Process and what we do here. We're a young company. We've only been in existence for a couple of years now. And the business was formed by two of my ex-colleagues from Pega and good friends, Amit Agrawal and Ian Johnston. Both of them have vast experience. Amit worked at Pegasystems for about 8 years and then went on to run the Pega practice at Capgemini. And Ian Johnston is, he'll thank me for this, a real veteran of Pega, having been with the business for over 25 years. I joined the business, let's say summer last year, and I think there were around about 35 of us. Today, we're in excess of 65. And by the end of this quarter, we'll be up to 75. More about that in a moment. And the leadership team that Amit and Ian have managed to attract to AI4 Process combined have over 100 man-years of experience of delivering successful business outcomes using Pega's technology. It's a huge amount of experience there. Why was the business formed? I think all of us who've worked with Pega's technology recognize that it is certainly one of the best technologies around for digital process automation and artificial intelligence. Arguably, it is the best. However, we had a sense that not every customer was able to maximize the benefits of the technology. Yes, they got value out of the technology, no doubt about that, but often the downstream benefits that the technology can deliver was just being missed. So what is it that we do that's different, that enables customers to maximize that benefit? For us, it all starts with our academy. A lot of organizations, including Pega and some of the partners out there, deliver excellent training in the base technology. But we felt what was missing was
effectively real world training, a lot more emphasis around the strategic applications that sit on Pega Infinity, and also a lack of kind of training about the future potential and getting the first projects right, building for success in the future. So our training is very much geared around real world exposure to projects and very much mentoring from the vast experience we have amongst the team. I guess the second pillar of our business is our consultancy model. Again, this is in the context of, you know, what delivery models work well for Pega. Pega, being a low-code platform, does not lend itself to the traditional waterfall delivery methodologies, the big offshore development shops. The technology really needs consultants who can work closely with the business. And so therefore we made a conscious decision from the outset that we would have local resources. So of the consultants in the team, currently we have a handful in Europe and growing, a handful in North America and growing, but the rest are all resident here in the United Kingdom, supporting our economy. Many of them are UK citizens, and that allows us to have innovative delivery models. There's a lot to talk about in terms of how we go about delivery and the different models that we employ, but that is actually subject of another forthcoming webinar. So I'll leave that for now. Furthermore, the wealth of experience we've got in people like Ian and shortly when Michael joins us means that we've got unparalleled expertise in the area of infrastructure, hosting Pega, whether that's on site or in the cloud, whether that's migration, whether it's performance, sizing, and so on and so forth. And again, that will be the subject of a future webinar. The final area, which is, I guess, a bit of a segue in today's session, is what we're doing in the area of applications and capabilities. Pega can't produce everything in-house. It is very clear where it wants to invest in particular application areas. And so that leaves opportunity for organizations like AI4 Process to either take standard applications and add further value to them. And we've done that, for example, with our empathetic collections. Again, a webinar is available for viewing. And we're also investing in things like pharmacovigilance and some innovative applications around electric vehicles. But today's session is all about what we're doing in the area of intelligent document processing. Now, for those of us who've been in the kind of generic workflow, document management, business process automation space for a long time, in my case, it's got to be in excess of 25 years. I am staggered that here in 2021, we are talking still about paper and eradicating paper. Businesses tell us that they are still spending a huge amount of money extracting information from paper-based documents before they can then go into the automation. And similarly at the back end, documents that still need signing and returning. So what we have done is we've built a platform. The platform brings together some of the leading technologies in this space in conjunction with Pega Infinity. And that is providing a platform to help take this paper and automate a lot more of the process instead of the core process once data is being captured. And of course, there are many, many use cases for that. There are a few examples here on this slide, and we're going to showcase a couple in a minute. And so really what we're talking about today is this platform for document automation. And with that, I will hand over to James, who will introduce the demonstrations. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kevin. Okay, hi, my name is James Kiernan. I'm a senior consultant at AI4 Process, and I'm pleased to welcome you to our latest webinar, AI4 Intelligent Document Processing. Today, we're going to show you two new and exciting processes in order to give you an overview of what interesting and innovative solutions we're working on at AI for Process. Let's take a look at some of the current issues facing manual processing today. To echo what Kevin said about the amount of paper being used within businesses, Gartner's got a quote from 2019 where only 10% of invoices are actually processed electronically. There's a long-running theme that manual document processes tend to be overly complicated and time-consuming. Only with innovations in technology the past couple of years have we been able to tackle some of these common issues. The main issues with manual document processing. So manual data is prone to error and time-consuming. It's not very cost-effective, increased overheads and long processing times, and is likely to have a negative impact to client satisfaction. So what is AI4IDP? We've developed a new framework for automating the need to manually process manual documents. We've used multiple technologies, including machine learning and optical character recognition, with a combination of text analytics and natural language processing to increase our straight-through processing potential. Not all processes can achieve STP, and we know some processes just require a human touch here or there. So we try to streamline any potential human touch points by automating the collation of data and presenting a 360 view of the information to our agents. This enables them to make informed decisions quickly, reducing the time to process and enabling agents to be reactive. Some of the use cases for AI for IDP. The reach is far and wide, and we can see applications within many different industries in multiple different areas of the businesses within those. The amount of manual processing today, we want to build a one-stop shop to enable businesses to automate their manual document processes easily and quickly with AI for IDP. We've focused mainly on the front and back office processes initially. We started looking at these use cases in the first instance as we feel these are the most common scenarios that most, if not all, businesses currently have issues with. So our first demo, Jayashri today is going to be showing you the latest in procurement processing technology, and we'll be walking you through an invoicing solution which forms part of the AI for IDP offering. At a high level, we've got 5 main stages. Purchase orders are created within AI for IDP and submitted to the vendor for review. The vendor will then submit the corresponding invoice back to AI for IDP. Once AI for IDP has received the invoice, the agents are presented with a summary confirming the purchase order and invoice details and what information is matched, allowing them to approve the invoice and begin the payment collection process. In today's scenario, Jayashri will be showing you what the process looks like from an internal procurement agent view and what the experience might look like to a vendor. And Jayashri, over to you.
Thank you, James. Hello, good afternoon. I'm Jeshi Tulasingam, associated with AI4 Process, working as a Pega Senior Consultant. Welcoming you all for today's demo session on automated intelligent document processing, which we built in AI4 Process. As an internal procurement agent, here is where we start the initial process of purchase order request case. Now, the CSR would be selecting a vendor. The vendors are pre-populated from the onboarding process. Details like email address, name, vendor ID of the vendor selected are propagated to the case. Now the agent is able to select the goods or service that are available for that vendor. Next, agent would be selecting the quantity, and next comes the additional notes. In the event, if we need to tag this purchase order with some specific details, we can add them here. Now for this purchase order request, we can raise a request for the laptop upgrade project. On submit, we can see a summary view of the purchase order. Here, we can view the 360-degree view of the information about the vendor details, order details, and the purchase order. Now, the CSR would be allocating some approved budget amount for the purchase order. Lastly, we can set an expiry date for this purchase order to be completed by. It is pre-populated with the current date plus 30 days, which can be editable. And if the CSR wishes, they can update the date to extend the delivery from vendor selected for this purchase order. Now, on submit, we will move to the next stage of the process, which is the submit invoice. We can see here email and the PDF generated or in the recent content. If the CSR wishes to check or refer them back, they can refer to the recent content. For now, we can submit this purchase request case with the provided details and the purchase order have been sent to the vendors. On submit, we'll navigate back to the vendor email ID to check the purchase order. Here, we can see the request for the invoice has been sent to the vendor's email address. An outbound email is triggered with the attached purchase order PDF for the goods and service. We could observe the approved budget amount and the description and the goods what we have requested for. Now, the vendor can reply back to this purchase order request with the invoice for the quantity requested and the price, the net amount, and the total amount entered. And they can send this invoice to the purchase order request team who has raised the request. Now, let me navigate back to the interaction portal. Now, the interesting part of the automated intelligent document processing starts here. Meanwhile, while we are waiting for the invoice case creation, I'll explain you what is happening in the background. The email listener checks for the email from each vendor. Pega creates an email triage case from inbound email. The OCR implementation auto-parses the data from the email content, body, and the attachments back into Pega. We achieve this by using a text analyzer, and we define the extraction model for all the entity types and the entities which contains the root of scripts which reads the elements from the template body and passes the data to the NLP outcome into the email triage case. After the successful auto index and auto parsing, which in turn generates the new invoice case. We would create a new invoice case for each vendor by supplying the goods and service. We propagated the data from the email triage case to the invoice case if the validation has successfully completed upon. This has been completed once a case is available into the invoice work basket. Procurement agent can then pick up the latest case from the work basket Once a CSR opens a case, we can see a confirmed list of values which has been collected from the invoice attachment, which was passed to from the OCR engine. Here is where the interesting three-way validation comes into play. AI4 IDP automatically checks the following information: the vendor name against the approved vendor where we have requested for this purchase order, and the invoice amount against the approved budget invoice amount. And the last step of the approval is to get a human to check the detail and ensure it is correct. Now we can submit to enter the delivery details and the payment. We can then add a delivery notes section to inform that the vendor that the goods have been received. So we will enter the delivery notes as all laptops are received, and we are proceeding with the payment. Proceeding to the payment section, to select a payment category, the data is pre-populated from the onboarding process. Now on submit, the payment is then generated based upon the information collected for this payment order to this payee. From this payer information, the payment would be generated. Now we will submit this purchase order request to generate the payment. Now the CSR is able to see some additional details, such as the remaining budget amount. So if the CSR wishes or wants to make another purchase order request for different vendors for some other goods, they can use this remaining available budget amount to raise another purchase order request or invoice case to this purchase request. For now, the invoice is paid for this particular purchase order as per the approval. Now we can submit to close this invoice case. The invoice case is successfully closed and resolve completed. If the CSR wants to raise another invoice case or purchase order case with the remaining available budget amount, they can proceed with that, keeping the purchase request case open. Thank you for watching today's demo on automated intelligent document processing. Now I'm handing back to James to see a in-depth view of the three-way validation steps. Thank you once again. Over to James.
Thanks, Jayashree. Always good to see the process validations in real time. As you can see, this is just one of the applications where we could use automated decisioning to automate the data validations of a usually manual document process. I just want to give you a glimpse into what the process is doing when we're looking at the purchase order validations. We use a three-way validation method. In order to perform the validation, we use OCR to scan and extract the information from the invoice in order to propagate the data values within Pega. From the highlighted information, you can see we check the vendor, including where the email has been submitted from, to ensure we're routing the case to the correct vendor. Monetary amounts to check the approved budget versus the total amount on the invoice. And the itemization of the order, making sure that we're checking the same products are being covered. This allows us to do most of the heavy lifting before we even pass this over to the procurement agent for it to be approved or rejected as the request. So we're just sort of streamlining the experience for the procurement agent. We feel the three-way validation approach within the process can have multiple different applications when validating exchange of goods or services. between companies. This could apply to timesheets to track consultants as another example. This concludes our initial demonstration. If you have any questions, please feel free to add them to the chat. So the next demonstration, Thrin is going to be showing you a fully automated change of address solution. Utilizing the latest ideas coming out of AI4 Process, we're going to show you a brand new approach on how to update a change of address within minutes. The process at high level is very simple. We're going to be getting a request from a client to change their address using a chatbot. The chatbot will then ask the client to verify themselves by asking a couple of simple questions in order to validate their identity, and then we'll also ask them to upload a proof of address document such as a driving license. At this stage, we utilize the optical character recognition functionality to read and verify the document to provision the address change. Next, we notify the client of the change using the email address we have on file, providing them with the evidence of the update to their address. Once the change of address has been approved in DocuSign, we will then make the change in that application's backend data source. Lastly, we produce an audit case item to provide full transparency for the change. This enables the company to track any unresolved items or to review past requests. I'd like to pass you over to Thrin now, who's going to give you a quick demonstration of the change of address.
Let me share my screen. Good afternoon, all. This is Thrin Nagalendran, Senior PICA Consultant at AI4 Process. Yes, so as James mentioned, today I'm going to walk you through a very simple and common customer maintenance user story, which is change of address using non-live interaction and intelligent document processing. So here you can see we have configured a chatbot instance on our local web application. Let me start a conversation with this chatbot instance. Here you can see the list of self-service options, and I'm selecting change of address. Here we collect a few simple pieces of information to enable the chatbot to locate the client in the system. The key required information are the last name and the account number. Next, we ask the customer to provide a form of identity to allow us to verify the customer and the contact details without the human interaction. So it could be any form of identity. So once the document has uploaded, we can review what the OCR and NLP component has lifted from the attached document. So here we have validated the document and identified it as a driving license. And here you can see the latest address details the customer wishes to update in the system. So these information are extracted from the document using OCR and the NLP components. And next, we ask the customer to enter the moved date. And at this stage, we automatically generate an agreement document and send an email to the customer's email ID, which is fetched from the system as a DocuSign request, requesting customer to provide a signed consent to update the records in the system. So let me switch to customer's mailbox. So here you can see the customer has received a new DocuSign request. And as a customer, I'm going to review this document. This is the generated agreement document. Here you can see the information captured from the customer as well as fetched from the system. The new address, which is fetched from the system, and the old address, which is extracted from the proof of identity. As a customer, I'm going to provide my signature. So once the customer has signed the document, the customer will be receiving the copy of the signed document, and also the copy of the signed document will be attached to the auto-indexed change of address case instance in the Pega systems. So let me show you the completed signed document. And as a CSR, let me switch to interaction portal. So this is the auto-indexed change of address, which is triggered, or which is created when the customer selects the change of address self-service option on the chatbot instance. So here you can see the summary of the information collected from the customer and fetched from the system. And here also you can see the signature date, which is extracted from the signed copy of the agreement document. And also you can see all the relevant attachments, the proof of identity, which is attached by the user, the agreement document, which is generated, and the signed copy of the agreement document. And also you can see this case has been linked with the chat interaction case, which contains the chat history. So this case will be used for the auditing purpose in the future. Well, thank you. That's the end of the change of address user story. And thanks for watching. And I'm handing over to James.
Thanks, Ren. That was really good to see that in action. Okay, so what I just want to sort of deep dive into is the verification step that Thrin's just shown us. Okay, so we verify the client's name, we get this uploaded verification document, in this case, driver's license, and then extracts the new address information ready to update the customer's records. The really clever part is how we classify the uploaded document initially. If you're using a driver's license, we can then verify the user's identity using a third party to confirm the driver's license is valid. This helps us ensure that we aren't updating the address to an old one, increasing security and improving the straight-through processing capabilities. There are many other use cases for using a chatbot to help customers with their client maintenance needs. Whether it's making a payment, raising an inquiry, we feel there could be lots of fully automated interactions which could boost client engagement and improve sentiment. Due to the fact we produce an audit trail for this change, we can produce a full reporting suite to track how the process is performing, highlighting potential aspects of the build that could need refinement or future enhancements. This concludes the second demonstration for today. Again, if you'd like to ask any questions on this particular aspect of this demonstration, please feel free to go ahead and ask them in the chat, and we'll be answering them shortly. So, some of the benefits we think we can obtain from implementing intelligent document processing. From the industry reported figures, we can see the potential impact of automating manual processes. We believe we can achieve up to a 52% reduction in errors, a 35% reduction in operational costs, 17% reduction in time required to process these sorts of processes, and an improvement of 40% in client satisfaction. Just want to highlight some of the other benefits we think we can achieve with delivering AI for IDP. We're going to be quick to market. As we've built this application on Pega, we're reusing out-of-box functionality, but then it allows us to further focus on enhancing that functionality and what we can do within Pega as a product. It also lends itself to being reusable and the capacity to scale these products easily. This enables us at AI4 Process to build solutions such as AI4DP within weeks rather than months. Finding innovative ways to enable straight-through processing and minimize human touch points in these processes has been something that we at AI4 Process have really enjoyed as a challenge and will be focused on in the foreseeable future. By empowering CSRs and agents of businesses around the workplace, we believe it will only have a positive impact on the value add that they can bring to a business. Self-service has been an emerging trend because it works. Allowing customers to interface directly with applications has been proven to increase overall client satisfaction time and again. Next, I'm just going to run you through a quick roadmap. So we're just at the start of our journey with AI for IDP. So we've got a couple of enhancements in the pipeline that we want to make to further enhance our ability to deal with manual document processing and take AI for IDP to the next level. Incorporating the ability to cater for multiple vendors simultaneously within one purchase order request will then further reduce the amount of processing we have to do. Further automating the good root cases through the delivery stage of the process to reduce the amount of human touch points. And we also want to proof of concept some more advanced OCR and machine learning and development with AVI integration, hopefully automating the template ingestion completely. Looking to the future, AI4 Process, we want to begin looking into more complex business areas such as insurance and pharmaceuticals, and further advanced functionality by incorporating social media and looking at towards new channels. So, utilizing Alexa, Siri, and mobile applications to further integrate how our customers interact with our apps. That concludes the presentation for today. We'll be sticking around for a Q&A, and I've got a couple of questions, so we'll be getting back to you very shortly. We also have a fact sheet for AI4 Intelligent Document Processing. So if you'd like some more information, please contact us on the slides. I'm going to hand you back to Kevin now, but from everyone from the AI4IDP team, thank you for watching.
Brilliant, well done, guys. Yeah, that was very, very informative. I really like those demos, and as you can see, there's just a plethora of potential use cases that we can apply this technology to. We've had quite a few questions, so let me start off. A couple of questions were to you, James. Would you like to respond to them?
Sure, Kevin. Yeah, so I can see we've got a question from the first one. Let's start from the top, from Kartik. So in the intelligent invoicing application, we read the document from the vendor email. So it's actually, we're not using OCR on the Pega screens, we're using OCR on the email that's been submitted from the vendor. So in that case, it was like a HP template that we then consume in the OCR aspect part of the build for AI4IDP.
Brilliant. There was a couple of questions also around OCR. Perhaps Tareen, could you just pick up those?
Yes, yes, Kevin. So I could see there's one question from Karthik. So when user upload a document in OCR, since we have a Google OCR to extract image, but still we have an issue with handwritten document. Suppose I upload one document with handwritten document, how it will read it? Could you please elaborate? So, well, So in our case, we are using AI4 Engine 12, which is a third-party OCR OCR software. So Pega, the OCR component-enabled Pega application allows to use AI4 Engine. So and there are so many third-party OCR applications. So the clarity or the accuracy depends on the OCR software that we're using and the parameters that we are passing. So yes, so AI4 Engine has the ability to extract the text out of the image, and handwritten, yes, it's a bit tricky, but if it is clear, if it is not that clear, sometimes it's a bit tricky. If not, it has the ability to extract the text out of the handwritten document as well, and we have tested it.
Perfect, thank you. I'm just trying, we're struggling a little bit because a lot of the questions have come in on the chat instead of the Q&A session. So let's just, have we answered all the questions? So there's a question around the purchase order request to submit invoice after submitting. I don't think we've picked that one up. That will be for you, I guess, Jayashree.
Yes, Kevin. Yeah. So the question was from the first demo, from the purchase order request to submit the invoice. After submitting the invoice to Pega system, can the invoice be automatically emailed to the vendor? So what we have done is, once the purchase order request is raised, we are automatically through the email listener and the email account configuration, we are sending the outbound email to the vendor based upon what CSR selected the vendor. So we are taking the vendor's email address into the case. So whichever the CSR selects, based upon the vendor details, we are triggering the outbound email to the vendor. And once vendor sends back the invoice through the email listener, we are listening those emails with the attachment, and then we configure the OCR engine, and Ruta scripts will be playing a major role post over there to process the data. Yeah, thanks, Kevin.
Perfect, thank you. Right, another one, I guess this one, I don't think we've picked this one up yet, and it'll be for you, Tharine. It's to do with the different types of documents that we can use. Can you see that question?
Is it like, could you please provide the document format which is acceptable by IDP? It could be any types of document. So our OCR component is having the ability to extract text from any files like a PDF, any image files, a PDF, or any image files such as JPEG and PNG. So once the OCR has extracted the text, and then we use the NLP component to extract the entities from the extracted text. So in the NLP component, we are using pattern matching algorithms, keyword-based text analyzing, and machine learning technologies to extract the entities.
Okay, perfect, thank you. I think possibly another one for you. I'm not sure you've already answered this one. It's about the driving license, and does it handle different fonts? Did you address that one?
Not yet. So wait, I can't find, yeah.
The second one down.
Yes, the change of address bot can accept all types of document apart from driving license, and does OCR handle different fonts in which detail can be present in document? Well, yes. So the chatbot, this particular user story can accept any types of documents, yes. But to validate, so proof of address, there are certain types of documents accepted, like driving license, or passport, or utility bills. So we have a template of an algorithm, like if it is, so first OCR will extract the data. So based on the extracted data, we will identify what type of document it is. And if we identify it's a driving type, a driving license, based on the keywords and the IDs, we can determine what type of a document it is. And if once we classify the document, then we can use third-party services. For example, for the driving license, once we identify it is a driving license, we can use third-party services to validate the driving license ID. And we can validate whether it's a genuine document or not. Mm-hmm. So the driving license ID, we can extract it from the OCR extracted text using pattern matching algorithm. And yes, the second question is, and does OCR handle different fonts, which details can be present in the document? Yes, it can. So the AI4 engine tool, it supports quite a number of Windows fonts. So it supports most of the font types provided by Windows. Okay, hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, some more questions have come in at the bottom of the Q&A. If you could have a look at those, Tharine.
Yep.
From Karthik.
So for example, so from Karthik, I could see, yeah, how IDP handle passworded document to read. Mm-hmm. For example, if my document is in different language, how IDP handle it. Suppose for my name in document mentioned as Karthik Murugesan in Tamil, how IDP read it for change request. Well, so as I mentioned, as an initial installation of AI4 engine, it provides a package of fonts. So it includes I really can't remember how many font it supports initially. If we can enable the third-party OCR software to support different languages and different fonts, yes, we can read the we can extract the text out of it. So this is something we need to explore more on the a third-party OCR component. So at the moment, we are Pega doesn't have inbuilt OCR. So Pega enables us to use AI4 engine OCR software for the application.
Okay, and there's you're busy now, Tharine. There's one more for you here to do with the chatbot. Question around restricting the list of Mime types for uploaded files.
I think I missed it. So if I can't find the question, so if it is something to do with Mime type, yeah, well, so this.
Sorry to cut across you. It's in the chat session.
Okay, so Mime type, it's something we can determine. So currently we are using Pega attach option, attach functionality. So from that we can identify what type of document is being uploaded, and that Mime type needs to be passed to the OCR extraction component. Yes, we need to pass the Mime type.
Okay. And just so that we make sure we've captured all these, the question to all the panelists, are there any questions there that we think we haven't answered?
There is one question, Kevin. Will IDP read all unstructured document? Yes, it will. So the entity types, what we have defined, we can add the Ruta scripts defined for the each entity types. So each data which has been extracted, it will read from the script what we have defined in the model, and any unstructured document it will read and it will pass us the data. OCR has that capability to do that. And it's how we define the root task script as well plays a major role over here.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you. Jason, James, do you think, are there any questions you think we haven't answered?
I'm just going through, Kevin. I think there were some similar themes of question. I'm hoping that we've covered many of those, but we'll go through everything just to make sure that we've got it covered. And if we haven't, then obviously, as you said at the start, we'll get back to the questioners.
Okay. If anybody, any participants would like to ask any verbal questions, just put your hand up and I'll give you access and you can answer, just to make sure we've covered everything off. Let's see if any hands go up. No, no hands have gone up. So, well, unless there's any further questions, which of course, if there's any, oh yes, we have, just bear with me. Hi, Karthik, you should be able to speak to us now. But you're on mute.
Hello. Hi, Kevin.
Hey there.
Yeah, I have raised one question. Like, suppose when we are seeing a chatbot, the user is trying to upload an address change request through chatbot. Okay. Suppose I am the user. I'm trying to upload because I was doing document research for the past 3 years. Okay. So I have this question from one US consultant. So I want to just see how this has been takes place here. Suppose I'm the user, I'm trying to upload multiple documents. For example, first document is wrong, second document is right, third document is wrong. How IDP collects the document information which is correct and it try to read the document and detect the text.
Well, so Karthik, yeah, so here you're saying like multiple documents.
Yeah.
So multiple documents, okay, so if we have a data model as a page list, and on page list, we can call the text, I mean, the OCR component. So we can call this activity OCR extract text activity. So we will be passing a couple of parameters. So by looping this page list, we can pass it and we can handle it in the Pega flow itself. So for example, what's the criteria to determine the document is right or wrong? So what OCR does is, so we call the OCR extraction activity, which basically calls the API, FR engine API, and it extracts the text. And we also internally, we also needs to pass a couple of parameters. The accuracy depends on the parameters what we pass, like in what amount it has to extract, something like that. So that we need to dig into the code and see like the parameters. So say, let's say like, say we have called the OCR activity and it has extracted and it has returned the extracted text. So that's the only job the OCR component does. So we pass the base64 of the attached document and it gives us the extracted text in the text format. Then we invoke the NLP module to extract the entities. So what are the values we are actually looking for? So how do we determine whether this document is right or wrong? So those logic will be defined in the NLP component.
Okay. So like for example, if you are trying to do some deep learning or some algorithm with the NLP model or something, yeah. Okay. So how you will be controlling in the chatbot that whether this document is right or not? For example, I am trying to upload a document continuously. For example, I try to chat continuously. Hi, how are you? What is the document? Everything. So how your dialogue will be weighted for that?
Right. So in our chatbot instance, you would have seen that when the user starts the conversation, he selects the option, like which self-service option. So each self-service option, we have flows, like we have defined the logic in a flow. So we handle all the logic, the conversation logic in the flow itself. So whether to continue the conversation or whether to validate and let the user to continue the conversation, everything will be it depends on the flow structure. So if there's a question to attach a file, so the next conversation and the conversation will be continued after the validation of the document. So we can define the flow that way.
Yeah, because why I have this question is, for example, you can allow a document to upload one document at a time, okay? But if I have a document which is uploaded with, there will be a certain format, okay? Suppose I am doing a PDF format of document, I have converted all the 3 images of mine, my parents, all DLs, I have attached in one PDF, and every document will have the name, which is the deduction of extraction, which we will be deducting in NLP. OCR will deduct the name field entity, and it will be deducted through the NLP, and it will extract the text, and it will be putting in our Pega UA. But now my PDF will have 3 DL, which is mine, my dad, my mom's DL will be attached. All the 3 DLs will have the name. So in this case, we can't tell multiple document, right? I am uploading a one document. I have a 3 pages. 3 pages also have the name in my DL. So which name it will take?
Okay, so this is something something not out of OCR. So this is something we can handle. We can validate before we call the OCR itself, right? So when the document is attached, we can use PDF. There are PDF APIs. We can use the PDF API and we can see how the number of pages, and we can validate to see like before we call the OCR, so we can say this is an invalid document. Please upload the valid document.
So if I keep everything in one page?
If you're keeping in one page, it depends on your validation criteria. Like if
no,
so
when you say 3 page, right? 3 page, we can stop. But even we can't tell user to give 1 page or anything, right? If you tell 1 page, right? I can make all the 3 DLs in 1 page and I can scan it and send in a document, right? Then also which name, because what I was asking is how the extraction will take place, because when we see the OCR Abe fin reader or something, okay, how I'm not sure like how much accuracy it is giving. That is the reason, because when you say unstructured data, we have we can read, right? But when you see the pharmacy receipt or anything, Abe fin reader or even Google OCR is not detecting properly. So that is the why how much accuracy it can give the result or reading the document.
So Karthik, apologies, because we're at the top of the hour now. You are asking some very interesting questions, which does warrant more time. So what I suggest is that we set up a separate session to go into this in more depth for you, if that's okay.
Yeah, okay, Kevin. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very
Karthik.
much. So
thank you for your time, Taran.
No
and
problem.
Jayashree, Kevin, James. Yeah.
Brilliant.
You're welcome.
So thank you everybody for attending. I hope you got some value out of it. If there are any follow-up questions, please feel free to contact us directly, and we can follow up independently. So all it leaves me to say now is have a very good afternoon, and we'll look forward to seeing you to one of our future events. Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Thank you all.